Okay, we're going ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our welcome back meeting. It's welcome back for some people, and it's like welcome for some people, but for the American Statistical Association Student Chapter, UTSA. So we're gonna be kind of just going over briefly who the offices are, do some brief introductions. We'll also talk about some of the events that we have planned for this semester and generally who the Stats Club are and ways that you can be involved as well over the course of the semester. Without further ado, I would like to invite anyone that wants to introduce themselves. I see Victor said he's a stats major. If you want to introduce yourself, name, major, year, what you brought you to the meeting today, whether you're interested in becoming a member, or Professor Anderson offered you extra credit to come to our meeting today. That's fine too. We want to know. We want, we're trying to. The goal is to really build a sense of community. So I see ASC 1403 biomedical engineering. Nice to have you though.
What is 1403?
Yeah,
it's probably biostatistics, right? I would imagine, if he's a biomedical engineer. Michael, you can feel free to correct me. There we go.
Biostats. Biostats as well. Thank you. Yes. Well, if you are here for extra credit, we're glad to have you. We hope that some of the things we talk about interest you enough to come back for some of our other meetings, and it is likely that that Anderson will offer more extra credit for some of the other meetings because he is our advisor. But yeah, feel free to keep putting those introductions in there if you in the chat. We're gonna kind of move along to some of the officer introductions. But here I am. My name is Mufado Chakure, and I am the current president of the Stats Club. I've been involved in the Stats Club technically since freshman year, but I didn't really start doing a lot of work until like sophomore year of college. And so I am a senior majoring in actuarial science with a minor in statistics. My role is really just to lead, organize the officers, and try to look for new opportunities for the members. So this might be stats, actuarial science, and kind of trying to make sure that we are doing stuff to make prepare and to also just create a community around anyone that's interested in statistics and any related fields. Fun fact, I've had a fun fact that's been there for like years, so I had to change it today, and I was like, I'm bilingual. I didn't know what to put. I was gonna put, I have no fun fact, but that's my fun fact. If you have any questions for me, I'm always available, and we have some general contact information for the club later. But you can join our Discord and actually privately message anyone if you have questions or anything like that. I am bilingual in English and Shona. Within Shona, I can speak like, I don't know how many different dialects, but it gets a little more complicated. But technically, Shona, which is one of the main languages spoken in Zimbabwe. But we're going to move on to a recent change. I'll do a brief introduction on this, but a recent change for some people that maybe were active members last semester, you will know that our vice president was actually Andrea, but we've had to kind of make a switch in light of kind of trying to plan for what's coming. Next semester I'm graduating, Andrea is going to be graduating as well. So we thought it might be better to kind of promote Alex, who's been a member as well as an officer for a while, to being vice president, so he can get a little bit more responsibility before he kind of moves on to maybe taking over as president in the fall next year. So I'll give Alex the chance to introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm Alex Martinez. I'm a statistics and data science major with specialization in mathematics. I am currently a junior. Next semester I'll be senior. My duties are taking notes in the meetings and helping out all I can with the president and the other officers. And then fun fact about me is I love playing the piano.
Awesome, awesome. And yes, so get to know Alex. He'll be very involved in the club next semester as well. We have our treasurer, who's currently not present in the meeting. I think he had a.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you're
I
here.
just-
Okay, I thought your class was
Okay.
still. No,
Oh, yeah,
I'll just go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Silvano. I'm doing my master's in economics and forecasting, and I'm in charge of our organization finances and our financial accounts. And I guess a fun fact is that I've worked for anti-money laundering teams at Wells Fargo and USAA. And actually, today was my first day as a financial analyst for CPS Energy. So
Awesome. Glad to hear that you got that job. Awesome.
Ooh.
And then next we have our secretary. So as you know, this was our vice president last year, Andre. She's been involved in the club for quite a number of years as well. She's a statistics and data science major. She unfortunately has a conflict with this time for this semester, but her role really is to try and, well, her role previously was to kind of get more guest speakers as well as to kind of collect entry opportunities, which I think will really be still her role. If if not officially in the Constitution, but she is serving as the current secretary, and I think she just has, since it is her last semester as well, quite a lot that she has to do. So she thought it might have been better to kind of step down and let someone else take the reins there. So she will be with us. She'll be at the meetings. She's at our officer meetings quite a bit, and so she's more on the back end of things because just this time did not work with her. But yeah, and you get to meet her at some of our events as well that are not going to be at this time. And then I'll give Sanjana the chance to talk to him.
Hello, my name is Sanjana and I'm the social media chair. I'm actually currently a junior majoring in Actuarial Science. And some of the things I do, I just make the posters and the flyers. And a fun fact about me is I love to play video games and all types of games.
Another fun fact, Sanjana was a junior officer last year or last semester. So we'll talk a little bit more about junior officers and how you can get to becoming a senior officer and things like that. So here we are, junior officer. This is a slide, this could be you. And I'll talk briefly about what this is. So our goal in having junior officers is to try and create a sustainable way to keep the club running as senior officers graduate. And so it's really a professional development opportunity for you to figure out if this is something you'd like to do. You attend our officer meetings and you learn about each officer position. You also have the opportunity to plan your own event. You learn quite a lot about communication, some of the back end work that comes with being within this club, and you get to hang out with some pretty cool people regularly, the other officers. So this is definitely an opportunity, so you can figure out this is something that you want to do. If you are interested, please reach out. I'll show you again the links that we have towards the end, but we'll definitely love to have you. One perk of being a junior officer, so if there are senior officer positions that open up, priority consideration is given to junior officers because you've been with the current board for enough time for us to know the kind of work that you do before that position is opened up to the general stats community, the general public. So if you are a junior officer, just know that that's definitely a perk you get to pick. Like, if there's multiple positions that open up, you get a choice. But I'll definitely encourage, anyone that's interested in being more involved, that's not, you're not ready yet to commit to a senior officer position. This is definitely something that might be up your alley. So again, this is something that we talk about at, almost every first meeting of the semester. Why statistics? Some of you might not necessarily be stats majors. You might not be, you might be taking a class that you have to because there's some other major that you have. So, just talk briefly about why. So statistics is used everywhere. it's in psychology, if you're doing research, it's very, very useful to know, to kind of understand data and to do experiments and things like that. In demography, and Victor, remind me if that's what you're doing, right? Or is it?
I've taken some demography classes, but I say in general, I do a lot of things.
That's good. Well, if you have questions, he's taking more classes than I have. There's definitely quite a lot of applications that you can have for statistics. Chemical and life sciences, it's useful in all sorts of analyzing all sorts of data. Engineering, so a couple of people mentioned earlier, marketing, definitely useful in any sort of business setting, computer science, sports analytics, finance, and I can't see that because this thing's in the way, and insurance. Yes, so actuarial science people and any analysts really will be using statistics in some degree, whether it's just working with data and knowing, what an average is, or to actually doing some pretty complex modeling. And so these are skills that, I think in the future, most roles will need to have, because there's just so much data in the world that you can't, no company can survive in the future without capitalizing on it. And so definitely a skill to learn and to just be comfortable knowing the basics of it sometimes. So our role as a stats club is to kind of build a community around that, right? To normalize this thing that seems quite nerdy, and most people would be like, statistics, like why would you major in statistics, or like why are you even interested in statistics? So like to kind of show that the relevance in it and build a community around that at UTSA. It is quite a relatively small program at UTSA, putting together stats, actuarial science, and now we have data science. So we're hoping to grow. We're hoping to bring in all those people, and anyone really that's you don't even have to be any one of those majors to be a part of this club. We don't make you do like stats problems or anything like that. So if you're looking for like a nice community to just learn about some of these things, yeah, that's why we're here. So moving on to kind of the big things, what we have planned for this semester. We've kind of tried to balance a little bit between the speaker events we have, our workshops and socials. Because of the nature, because of COVID in the past couple semesters, past couple, year and a half, we've, most of our events have been centered strongly around speaker events. And as we shift a little bit into a little bit more in person, we've been trying to do more socials to try and build that community piece as well. So these are some of the events that we've planned. So we do have a data scientist who will be coming in on February 10th. And we'll have more details on the topic he'll be covering. We also have our very own Professor Anderson, who is the vice president of we called it the Big Boy ASA chapter in San Antonio. So he'll be presenting about what that's like and what that entails, and how you can be involved in that chapter and the national chapter as well, and the perks that you get as well by being a Stats Club member from that. The other two speakers that we have planned, so we have the dates tentatively, but we're still kind of looking around to see if we want to bring in a stats professor. So we really like to kind of bring in any professors who are currently at UTSA, so you learn about them. So we're trying to balance and see who would be available at the time. It is kind of an odd time sometimes for professors, but these two, you can keep. These dates are definitely, I think, solid in terms of this is when they would be, but we'll update you on who exactly we're presenting. We do have Victor, who's been kind enough to agree to lead this intro to tidyverse in R. If you don't know what tidyverse is, come and learn. It's probably one of the greatest tools you could ever learn to use in R, just because it makes working with data so much easier and quicker and things like that. So this will be on February 18th, which is a Friday. If we'll decide on what time it is, so just try to stay updated on that. It'll be on the Discord and the group meet. You'll have ample time to figure out what time it'll be, but just put that on your calendar on that Friday, probably sometime in the afternoon. And then I will be leading a workshop on kind of how to be a competitive actuarial candidate. So this entails how do you start, if you decide you want to go the actuarial route, starting as a freshman, the things you should be thinking about, taking exams, how do you register for exams, as well as looking at internships. How do you make yourself competitive for an internship? And then once you have an internship, how do you make yourself a competitive intern to receive a full-time offer? And then on top of that, there'll also be a short kind of tutorial on how to use coaching actuaries. And I'll talk a little bit more about why we have to do this. And we also kind of toying around the idea of doing an intro to modeling in R, but this might be a little bit complex. This is later in April. It might also just be a wild card intro to Python workshop, but the date is the same. The topic might change though. So if you just keep a date on your calendar, you will be informed, well informed on when those will happen. And then we will do Pizza Party 2.0. We did a pizza party last semester towards the end of the year, which was pretty fun. We had a couple of games. I should have put slides with the pictures from there because those are pretty great. We took a couple of pictures. It was a fun time. So we're thinking about doing that again this year. And we also want to make the last general meeting of the semester something a bit more social as well, in kind of light of trying to have more socials. And I think we might, given if we how the first one goes, we might try to build a few more in there that are just people hanging out, play some games, relax. But these are, again, the minimum that we're setting out as our goal to do this semester. The dates, we will solidify those dates, but keep those on your calendar as well. And you can come get some pizza. We had like leftover pizza last time. I think I had to take like a whole a whole box because we had a lot. So come get some pizza, hang out. I will have drinks as well. So if you're interested, feel free. And coaching actuaries. So if you are an actuarial science major, this is something that we've done over the past 2 or 3 semesters now, which is this program that Coaching Actuaries started, which is the Preferred Club program, where you can get discounts for coaching actuaries. So on top of the student discount that students typically get when they use coaching actuaries, which is a platform where you can study for actuarial exams, especially those preliminary ones. And so on top of that, they'll add a discount, and essentially the club, meaning us, we take on a couple of responsibilities in terms of marketing some of their content on our social media and a couple of things, and also doing a tutorial that I talked about. So those are really some of the tasks that we have. In return for that, we get these discount codes that I have access to that I can only give to you privately. I'm not allowed to actually show them on the video, but if you reach out to me, you can let me know, and I'll give you the codes, and you'll be able to get like a pretty significant discount on studying for exam P, exam FM, IFM, any of those exams. And I'll do a tutorial on what coaching actuaries looks like, and you can discern whether you think you'd benefit from using it for studying for actuarial exams. Another thing that I think would be cool if you're an actuarial science major is study groups for actuarial exams. So you don't necessarily have to be studying the same exam as someone, but just having a time block on your schedule where you can study in the same area with other people. It's something that I'm studying for an exam, but if someone else wants to join, it would be, doesn't take too much to be a group. So if you're interested, if you are and you need some kind of extra motivation, we're going to try and build a community around that. But again, it's only if there are people that are committed to starting that process. And again, if you're interested in those things, feel free to contact me on the Discord. You will see the link for our Discord at the end. If you're on our group me or any of those, you will likely receive one of the links so someone's saying they're having connection issues. I'll get their attendance. Okay, I got it. Okay, awesome. but we're good there. And then getting involved again, our general meetings are bi-weekly, and so these are technically our the speaker events are definitely going to be bi-weekly on the Thursday. So our next one will be not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. It'll be the same link. And I think there might be, well, most of the speaker, and it'll, be virtual. All of those will be virtual just because we want to make sure that if we have speakers that are like in other parts of the country, then we can still have, be able to learn from them without having to get, fly them to campus or have to do anything like that. If you would like to join our Discord, there's a lot of fun stuff on there. We're gonna try and make it a little bit more active this semester. It's kind of dialed down a little bit, but there's a lot of resources. You can ask questions on there and get answers from smart people and people that are just looking to meet new people on there. So there's a lot of stats people on there. Please join. That is the link. If you want to be a junior officer, like I said, I'm going to keep repeating this till like everyone joins. But if you want to be a junior officer, reach out, join on Discord to send us a message, and we'll we will plan some sort of general meeting just to get to know you a little bit before we bring you on. And please, get on Rowdy Link and join. We would like to very much have you as a member, which brings me to the next thing, full membership. So there are some perks to actually coming to our meetings. So if you attend a minimum of 3 events in a semester and you've joined on Rowdy Link, you will get all these perks. We have some Stats Club shirts and a couple merch, and it's a little bit more merch out there that you can get for being a full member. So you will also get access to things on Discord. We have specific channels for our full members, and as well as you can be on our social media. So if you're doing some cool stuff and you want to be on social media, we'll post you. And then there's also like the ASA membership. You get a 25% discount. So these are some things to consider. If you're really interested in the stats world, if you want to, I receive like stats. I was going to call it a magazine journal regularly about stuff happening, and there's always some very interesting things in there. So if you're interested in any event, please come to more of our meetings. We don't fight. And again, please be a junior officer. We want to keep the club alive and don't let it die. If you're remotely interested, and even if you don't like how we're doing, like the Stats Club this year, how we're leading and how we're engaged on campus, you can join and make it better. So a little bit of motivation there. So we want all sorts of criticisms as well as constructive criticism. So please join. Does anyone have any questions? Again, feel free to introduce yourself, come off mute, or anything like that. But open to any questions. I have not been checking the chat, but I will be reading as we wait for questions, if there are any. I love your fun fact. Go ahead.
How many of the members of the club have taken the first actuarial exam?
That's a good question. Currently, I can't give you a number off the top of my head.
It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to ask if anybody here has taken it, like how many hours of studying it took them, because I know it's around 300, but since it's like the first exam and you already have classes, a lot of them based on them, I wanted to, ask.
So I've taken P and passed it, and actually Sanjana, who is our new social media chair, actually took it and passed a couple weeks ago. So she could probably tell you a little bit more about how long it took her to study.
So I will say that the way I was studying, it took me about like 150 hours to do it, like roughly. I would probably spend about like 3 hours each day dedicated to it and then take it. but it depends on how fast you're learning and just how well you understand the material. It's a lot of calculus though. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and it varies with people as well. So how comfortable you are with the content. I took it at a time when like I just taken Cal 3 and it was like when COVID hit and my Cal 3, like some of the stuff that I learned, it was like just shaky. And so it took me a little bit longer to get some of those concepts, but I definitely recommend coaching actuaries just because you get all the practice problems. They will read the syllabus for you and then translate it into the lessons and the videos. So if you are, and they answer questions, you get a little bit more help that way. It's not as isolated as you studying on, just on your own. If you have questions, there's people that will answer. But if you have more questions, feel free to reach out. I'm sure I'm open to any sort of messages you might send on Discord. And I saw somebody ask, what is Discord? And let's see if anyone has answered. Yes, someone answered. Yeah, it's usually, gamers use it quite a bit. We've used it because, the ability to create different channels. And it, like someone answered that question as well. So yeah, creates different channels as well as voice channels, different roles, access to certain things, and limiting access to certain things. So it's definitely a way for us to manage the club in a virtual space. And there's lots of fun that you can be. So it's pretty great. If you saw that link earlier, please feel free to join there. And Sanjana, if you want to come off mute, you can talk about junior officers as well.
Just a quick note about the junior officer thing. It's a great resume builder. It helps you get a lot of, it won't guarantee you the job, but it helps you get into those interviews. So even if you're not going to get the job, I just think it's a really good way to practice on how to talk to like a lot of different people and how to interview things. Overall, it just really helps your resume. That's all I have to say about it.
Yes, it's like looking back as a senior, like I wish there was an opportunity like that as a freshman to be able to be more involved, but not in a full commitment senior officer position where I'm like, having all these responsibilities, but to where I can get an idea of how things run and, maybe do one thing and kind of grow that and have something to talk about, right? Because I remember applying to internships and it was kind of hard to figure out what to talk about. Like, what have you, tell me a time when you did this? I'm like, I just finished my freshman year. I didn't do anything. I don't really know what to talk about. So it's definitely one of those things where, if you want to say, I planned this event, I've been involved in, such and such and such. So it's definitely a great opportunity. It'll build up your resume and it'll just make you fall in love more with statistics in the club as well, and the university, a way to be more involved in the university as well. Thank you to those that are answering questions in the chat. Any, yes, good comment, Victor. Campus involvement is awesome. There's so many opportunities you get from just being involved on campus that translate into you getting opportunities, in an interview that you can talk about. A fancy group me. I like that description of Discord. Any other questions anyone might have?
Faro, someone asked about what do you do in actuarial science? I don't know if you want to share a bit about that.
That's a good question. There's quite a lot that you can do in terms of as an actuary. I guess one of the main distinctions is, whether you're going to be looking at life insurance or you're going to be looking at auto or like property and casualty. But essentially, you're using statistics and math and all these other financial math kind of modeling methods to price financial products. So like auto insurance, how does an insurance company come up with the premium? So actuaries are on the back end of that using data and statistical methods and actuarial methods to price accurately to make sure that a company is, is providing the coverage that it wants to provide, as well as also staying in business as a company. So that's like one very specific thing that actuaries do. I know I've like friends that I interned with that recently just started working because they graduated early, and they're like in a completely different part of the department, and they're looking at like claims data in an insurance company. So there's quite a lot that you can do, but the very basic idea is you're pricing something, you're trying to predict something and put a number to how much it could cost for a company. It could be an insurance company, it could be like a financial company, you can work like in a consultant company. There's quite a lot that you can do, but it is quite a process to become an actuary. Father is an actuary. I like that. Is I haven't started thinking of myself as an actuary. I don't think I will until I finally am like graduated and like show up first day of work. But any other questions anyone might have? Like I said, typically our meetings will be 7:30 to 8:30 or just about. But this one is more general. We want to kind of get to know some of the people that are here, as well as, get you guys to know who we are, and feel free to ask any questions you may have. I will actually stop sharing so I can actually see a few people with their cameras on. If there are no questions, feel free to drop if there's nothing else that you need. We're gonna stick around. If there are any shy people that like asking questions in smaller group settings, we will stay. And I'll actually start recording.